Well, that wasn't pretty, was it? And you got the Green Bay Packers getting knocked off and beaten rather thoroughly by the Detroit Lions, 34-20. The final. Welcome in. It's the Green and Gold Postgame Show. I'm Bill Michaels. We are glad to have you. We are live. We are here at Burkles is where you can find us. And Burkles, which is just a block over from Lambeau. And if you want to swing in and say hi, by all means, come on by. We've got, man, I'll tell you this, a decent crowd, but right? It you got to play a full four quarters or you're screwed. Period. End of story. And they were bad. That was probably one of the most pathetic, underwhelming performances I've seen in a long time. And again, here we go. Here's the other thing. Here's the other thing to think about. That in this, in this game, and I know, and I mentioned this earlier too. In this game, the Packers played the first half and the third quarter rather poorly, right? Rather poorly. When you look at it, they have played now 6 quarters of bad football. and 2 quarters of come from behind, panic, ugly football. That's what they played. Right? That's it. And these last 2 games should be indicative of what this team is. I think we all got enamored with the opener down in Chicago. And then it was kind of like, you know what? They played okay, but the defense got exposed a little and they shored things up. But it was a lot of pre-snap penalties and a lot of things that shot themselves in the foot down in Atlanta. Okay, you can get past that. And then they came back and I can't say it enough. When we were sitting here on Sunday, everybody was giddy. Go back, go! And coming in and screaming and yelling and cheering and buying drinks and for an incredible comeback. And it was a moxie win. And people kept looking for different adjectives other than moxie. No, it was a moxie win. It was a gutsy win. Good coaching call to kind of, go to a no huddle and kind of show a sense of urgency. And that was it, right? It was a moxie win. But when everything else, you started to look at it and break it down, it was a bad performance. It just was. And then you look at the first 2.5, 3 quarters of tonight's game again. And that is about as poor a game, as poor a coaching job. I'll tell you what, I've got questions about Matt LaFleur and his ability to get his team ready. And everybody made fun of Dan Campbell about his bravado and his tough guy act. And he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'll tell you what, though, his guys for 4 straight times now have kicked the Packers' ass. Right? And this other thing that I'm so pissed off. Tonight is when you needed your defense to step up. The announcement that Bakhtiari is going on the IR. You still have your left side of your offensive line down. You did get Aaron Jones. You did get Christian Watson back. You weren't getting Jair back, but you're like, okay, look, we can do this. Devondre Campbell's not going to be in the middle of the line, the linebacking core, kind of being the captain back there, but that's okay because you've got all these first-round draft choices that are in. Rashawn Gary's back and playing extremely well, and he's talking about coming off of the pitch count and all of this. If there's so much damn talent there, where's it at? Where's it at? I don't know. Now, I understand, I really do, that guys got to execute, guys got to play, they got to tackle, there's so much to it. Okay? But, man. All right, hang in there for 1 minute. Those of you, welcome to all of you over on the live stream. I appreciate you being here and putting up with some of the technical issues. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come right back. We're just going to rejoin the network, okay? So stay right where you're at. We're going to be right back. Hang in there. Packers get knocked off tonight. It's ugly. 34-20. It wasn't even that damn close. More of the Green and Gold Postgame Show coming up right after this. Hang in there.
This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome back. And for those of you that are just joining us now on the network all over the great state of Wisconsin and well beyond the borders, we appreciate you being here, even though you just witnessed crap. I don't know how else to put it. Garbage. And it was put, and I think it was John Kuhn that said it at halftime. I was listening to the broadcast. The Packers were out-coached. They were out-physical. They were out-emotioned. The scheme on the coaching staff on both sides of the ball sucked. And as he put it, it was like a tsunami, and they couldn't stop it. where do you want to start? Where do you want to go? You want to start with a poor quarterback play? Jordan Love looked awful. Awful. He looked like what he was what I thought he was going to be when he came into the league. He made bad reads, late throws. How they didn't get Aaron Jones involved in the game plan at all until the second quarter is beyond me. It hurt when Musgrave went down with a concussion. I completely understand that. Injuries happen. I'm tired of sitting here talking about injuries. Guys got to step up, and they didn't. Period. They just didn't tonight. I will say this for those of you that are watching on the live stream, at least you get a chance to kind of pay attention to this because Packers fans, well, they took a beating, they took a loss. At least now they're partying a little bit. You got to find some kind of, hey, the Packer came back here in the last quarter to drink. So they're having fun. That's okay. I guess Aaron Jones was activated only to be a decoy. I mean, you can say, well, they got down early, but the bottom line was he didn't even really start catching passes or, for that matter, I don't mean catching passes, but having runs until the second quarter. He had 5 carries for 18 yards. And by the way, A.J. Dillon, done. Sucks. So slow. Stutter steps so slow. Doesn't hit the hole hard. Driving and junking and trying to go sideways and ready. He can't stick his head down. He can't plow through anybody. He's not strong enough. Quadzilla is a wuss. Can't do anything. Can't do it. Can't do it. I don't care if he's the mayor of the Vatican. I don't care. Doesn't matter. If you can't take a handoff and fall forward for 3 damn yards a carry, 2.2 yards tonight, 5 carries, 11 yards. There you go. Is this complimentary football that Matt LaFleur talks about all the time? Matt LaFleur talks about playing complimentary football. Well, if you suck on both sides of the football, that's complimentary football, right? Nobody has to feel left out. It was awful. Coaching tonight was bad. Game plan was bad. Dan Campbell and the Lions put an emphasis tonight on this game. And the problem with them, if I'm Dan Campbell, I'm pissed. I'm going into that locker room going, guys, you could have blew this team out by 60, and you took your foot off the gas because you thought you had it won. And you're not going to win a division that way. You're not going to win a championship that way. You're not going to win in the postseason that way. This was a learning experience for the Detroit Lions. For the Green Bay Packers, this was humiliating. And then you got one coach getting pumped up, talking about biting kneecaps and, beating you up with knives, and we're going to keep kicking your ass until you can't stand anymore. And we got another coach crying at halftime again. So it is what it is. Man, not good. Not a good day today. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Give us a shout. Love to hear from you. Again, 877-867-1670. I don't want to say back to the 80s because a lot of us didn't even live through the 80s when it came to this football team. But it wasn't good. It wasn't good. Wasn't good at all. We got phone calls to get to, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Call in, give us a shout. Want to hear from you. I got emails to get to. I got your comments over on the live stream. All Out News says Matt LaFleur has been the problem. His teams are soft, and this guy never has his team prepared. Always makes excuses. Let's sign Joe Barry to an extension. That's from Ryan. Ryan, I'm with you, man. I'm ready to say – I was ready last year at the end of the season to say be done with it, but I understood why they kept him, but not anymore. Not anymore. I mean – look, the Bears aren't no team right now is firing their defensive coordinator, no matter how bad they are, even the 0-3 teams at this point in the season. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Bears, their guy resigned, but God, I just, it's terrible, for lack of a better term. 877-867-1670. We'll get to the phone calls coming up here shortly as we line them up. The Lions are going to be kicking our ass for a while. They have a legit O-line and a D-line, and that was awful tonight. That's from Michael. Scott says very reminiscent of the lackluster effort last year. Unit working on the Elder Jacket. No, it's not an Elder Jacket, actually. It's not. It is a it's not an Elder Jacket. It's a UW Whitewater jacket or a pullover. Yeah, Stephen A. Smith has been right about Matt LaFleur. Josh wants to know, does 69 still make the Hall of Fame? Absolutely. Him being hurt doesn't take away from what he's done on the field. I agree with that. Rick says the Packers had the ball only 22 minutes. You're right. It was 22 minutes and 2 seconds to 37 minutes, almost 38, 37, 58, 38 minutes. I mean, that's just awful. Let's get to the phone calls. Let's go to Scott listening to us in Fort Worth. Scott, how you doing today? Your first out of the shoot, man. What are your thoughts?
God, Bill, thanks for taking my call, man. I called in on Sunday, and I told you, lipstick on a pig. That's exactly what it turned out to be. I'll tell you what. I'm sick of the injuries. I'm sick of the softness. I'm sick of this coach. Matt LaFleur is a pipsqueak. He can't coach. What has he done since he's been coach of the Green Bay Packers? Except come up small in big-time situations. He doesn't have a big win on his resume since he's been here. He continuously embarrasses his team on national television, unprepared, not ready to play, and tonight it was both sides of the ball. Every time they put him on TV tonight, he was staring in his face like he was going to cry. I saw his bottom lip quivering like a little girl with a skinny knee the whole game. He needs to go, and he can take Barry with him. And for the love of God, Jordan Love needs to sit there and practice hitting wide open receivers and the corner route. He hasn't hit a corner route, I don't think, all season. And if he has, his receivers bailed him out with a great catch, like Torrey did this tonight, and Dobbs did last weekend.
Yeah.
But this team has been in decline for a season and a half now almost. And it's just no secret. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that the team has been terrible with Aaron Rodgers last year and now the first quarter this year. And we should have lost last week. We should be 1-3 if not for a gift from that kicker for the Saints last week. I'm tired of it. I'm just absolutely tired. And then also, lastly, and I'll let you go. You Packer fans, I live in Texas. I can't go to Packer games, all right? But I would if I could. I am from Wisconsin. I was in the military, and I'm here in Texas now. You people that gave up your season tickets or whatever you did and gave them to that sea of Lions fans, like, you should be embarrassed and never let back inside that damn stadium again. That's all I got to say. Go Pack Go, but LaFleur needs to hit the road and take Barry with him.
There you go. Appreciate it, man. Damn. Thanks for the phone call. By the way, and that was another thing I noted today. If you follow me over on Twitter and over on the Facebook fan page and Instagram, that I took a picture just before kickoff. It was a sea of blue. Now, I blame this kind of on the Packers. The Packers keep giving these gold package games on Thursday nights to the people in Milwaukee. And they get mad. It's like, why do you want us to drive 2 hours to come to the game and then on a nighttime game and then get home at midnight, 2, 3 in the morning? The Packers do that all the time. They give those gold package games, they give them a primetime game on a Monday or a Thursday night. I don't understand it. Because this is what happens. They're like, I'm not going to go to that one, and then they put it on the sales site. And this is what you get. I don't know why they keep doing that. They do it every damn year, and the gold package people continue to complain about it. So they get rid of their tickets. It's almost like, and this is just my conspiracy-minded, it's almost like Red China wants the Milwaukee package to go away. So that way they get enough people out of the Milwaukee package to say, I'm not going to take those tickets because you keep giving us those primetime games that we can't come to. I can't take off work early. I can't get there. So to me, it's like this conspiracy of, if we just keep doing it, enough of them will give it up, and we don't have to worry about calling it a gold package game anymore. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. This is a wild one tonight. Let's go to our buddy Gerard listening to us in Delaware. Gerard, what's going on, man?
Well, I tell you what, I texted out to you. He was crying again.
Yep.
You can't have a coach. I told you, you can't have him, Bill. I've been saying this. You've been saying this over and over again. Look, physicality is created on offense through the run game. You come out and throw 7 straight passes? What kind of stupidness is that? Look, I watched Savage the whole game. He's playing two-hand touch out there. He went over and covered the short receiver. He let Reynolds go down the field. 23-yard game. Douglas came in and gambled. He tried to pick both balls off. Both balls. The one he slipped on when Brown went by him, and there's the one to the tight end. He got on the hip of the tight end when he was trying to jump in front of him. They have no discipline on this team. It's disgraceful. It is absolutely disgraceful. Look, here's what I would do. Savage would not be on this team after the trade deadline, number one. Walker, you have to have some kind of discipline. You got to either. This guy's just stupid. Look what he did last year. What is his problem?
Yeah.
How do you jump over the center? I haven't seen a guy do that since the rule is set. How do you do that?
Right.
Now, here's another one, Bill. Here, get this one, Bill. This is 3rd and 2 with 10 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game. Detroit, 3rd and 2. You know who he has at the defensive end? Ekelbari and Van Ness. What is he doing?
Right.
What is he doing? You put your best players on the field at that point. What is he doing? I mean, into the last quarter when the game was over, Wyatt was on a milk carton. I mean, where was he? Where's Kenny Clark? Where was he during the game? Where was he?
I agree.
They don't play angry.
I agree.
They don't care. Look, at the goal line, when Walker made that dumb play, right? When they scored that touchdown on a 1-yard run, Savage came in at the end of the play, should have drove that guy back. He would be gone. I mean, I can't take it anymore with these guys. There's no effort. Something has to change on this team. You can't have Love getting clobbered every single play. You got to scheme up something different. It's ridiculous. You're killing your young players. You're breaking your young players with just bad coaching. Real bad coaching, Bill. I tweeted out 3 times, this looks like the 80s.
Yeah.
It really does.
Tonight was
really does.
No,
you can't put Love
Gerard,
in that kind of a position.
I agree with you, man. Appreciate the phone call. Thanks so much. Gerard, it brings up a lot of good points. First of all, look, I understand emotions. Let's start with that. I understand people getting emotional. I understand coaches getting emotional. It could be for different reasons. I don't know. But, Dick Vermeil used to get emotional. Used to cry a lot about a lot of different things. He was older, likable, kind of a grandfather-esque type of guy. Matt LaFleur has already 2 things going against him. One is he's not this big machismo tough guy. He's smaller than most of the guys on the team. And he's not a player. He grew up in coaching. So you can't get tough and say, come on, I've done it, you do it, because you haven't. I mean, there's this level of machismo that has to go into this. And you can talk tough, but there's guys that talk tough and can't walk the walk. And it seems like Matt LaFleur might be becoming one of those guys. Now, I had a couple people over here that said, how do you fix this? How do we fix the problem? Keith and a bunch of people have been asking me. How do you fix it? I think what you have to do, if you're LaFleur, you can't be phony, but you have to be hard. I love these guys, and we got to be love, and I love this, and I love how hard they fight. I love that. Stop it. Stop it. You got to be tough. You got to figure out a way without giving up who you are, because then it comes across as phony. You got to toughen up. That's first and foremost. Secondly, if you don't go down the hall and get in the ass of your defense, and I'm talking coordinator and everybody, and say, look, I'm not going to go down this way. I'm not going down this way. If this doesn't change, I will make changes. I'm not going down this way. And that's what he has to do when he looks Joe Barry in the eye and he looks every player over on that defense in the eye. And I agree with you. Look, Detroit has a good, solid offense. Look, they have a good, solid offensive line. I understand all of that. And they got one of the better offensive lines in the business. However, what I saw was they imposed their will on that Packers front. The Packers on the goal line stand had 4 defensive linemen on the field, 4 of them, and 2 outside backers, and still got their ass handed to them. Don't talk to me about how great. Now, I believe there's a couple of players that are really solid. I think Walker's going to be a good player. He's got to learn. I agree with that, but I think he's going to be a good player. That guy's all over the field, okay? I think Kenny Clark's really solid. I saw Devontae Wyatt work. I saw TJ Slayton get his ass handed to him. I mean, if somebody would have said, TJ, here you go. You come out silver platter with a dome on it. You lift it up and you go, TJ, oh, by the way, that's your ass. There you go. Take it. He got it handed to him a couple times tonight. And they had become a highlight reel for getting blown up by other offenses and getting these, pancake highlights. So defense is all about a toughness, all about an attitude, all about that ability. And I don't see it. And the other thing that Matt LaFleur has to figure out, and I don't know how to figure this out, but is it anybody else that's noticed? Because I've been talking about this now for 2.5, 3 years. When this team faces adversity, a turnover or a deficit, or like Matt LaFleur folds. It used to be you could just rely on Aaron Rodgers, but he just folds, man. He just folds. And then finally they get a little juice, they get a stop, and then all of a sudden it's like, let's go, here we go, which is all, too little too late. But I think they have talent. I don't think that they are being coached at times right. I think today's scheme, I don't know why. Look, you get Christian Watson back and Aaron Jones. Why don't you involve them in the game plan right now? Right away. And here's the other thing. You got Rudy Ford right out of the chute. Rudy Ford comes up with a pick. You're down inside their 20, right? Inside their 25. Your first play is what? What do? It's a kill shot. It's a fade straight to the corner. You go to either Romeo Doubs on one side or you go to Christian Watson on the other. You go for the kill shot. That's what you do. And instead you try to run the ball? What? I didn't get it. It's like the coaching, that should be a kill shot at that point. I couldn't get it out of my mind. I'm like, what are you doing? It was an incomplete little out pass to Aaron Jones, and then, Jordan Love gets sacked for a 9-yard loss, and then a little pass to Romeo Doubs that went for 9 yards, and you netted nothing. You didn't go for the kill shot. So they kick a field goal, and then after that, it was just a train wreck. It was sack after sack. It was 2 or 3 sacks by the end of maybe 4 by the end of the first half, and it all gone to hell after that. Let's do this. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break. A lot of people over on the live stream. I love it. Love it on the live stream. You can hit us up over there. I'll try to get through all the different scrolls there. Got the phone calls coming in, 877-867-1670. This portion of the program brought to you by our great friends at Quick Trip. Quick Trip's got it going on. That's the place where tonight, stop into the beer cave, pick up a 6-pack, go home, drown your sorrows. I don't know what else to do. Quick Trip's there for you, baby. At least Quick Trip's there when the Packers aren't. Packers get knocked off today in ugly, ugly, ugly fashion. Packers get beat 34-20, and it wasn't even that close. Stay tuned. We got more of the Green and Gold postgame show coming up after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Welcome back to the program. It's the Green and Gold Postgame Show. We are live. We are at Burkle's. Burkle's, 1 block over from Lambeau Field, and we are behind Stadium View and a hotel back here, and a beautiful place. Huge sports bar. Huge sports bar. A lot of Packers fans hanging out in the house tonight. So if you want to come on over, if you're within the sound of my voice and you're looking for something to do and a place to have a little bit of music, a little bit of fun, you can see all the people that have piled in here after the game. Come on over because we're going to be here on the air for yet another hour. So come on by and say hello. Now, going to get back to it because we got people on hold. Got to get to them. Lucas listening to us in Eau Claire. Lucas, how you doing tonight, man? What's going on?
Not very good. I think all of us Wisconsin sports fans were just too high on the whole Dame Lillard trade. Brewers winning the division. We come into this. We got Rich Bisaccia, the savant of special teams. Then you see Quay Walker making the most boneheaded move I've ever seen in my life. I mean, unbelievable. Matt LaFleur just, oh gosh, just soft. I don't know what else to say.
It was. I appreciate the phone call. It was bad on a lot of fronts, I guess, is the best way to put it. It was it was a poor performance. I wish I could be stronger language, but I can't. That first half was bad like the first half was on Sunday. And I had tweeted out then, and I tweeted out today it was embarrassing. They couldn't move the football. The blocking was terrible. The game plan was bad. The they didn't have a ton of pre-snap penalties, but then again they got their ass kicked up front. It was a bad performance. And I just keep hearing, those words that they were not prepared. They were out physical. They were out coached, and quote, it was like a tsunami washed over them. It was just that bad. Just that bad. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Gino says, you all act like we were contenders this year. I just don't get that. We all knew this is going to be a growing year. Why is everybody surprised when it happened? Gino, you can't be serious. Surprised when what happened? When you take a beating like that? I mean, that wasn't about – I look at this team. Now, I understand the left side of your offensive line has deteriorated. Okay, I understand that. But you got two veterans in the backfield. You've got a guy in John Runyon, a guy in Josh Myers. They've been there. They've done that. They know that team. They know that offense. They know those signals. You do have young weapons. Okay, so if you take the offense out of it, what then forgives the poor defensive play? Angabari's been here. Kenny Clark's been here. Devontae Wyatt has now been here 2 years. He gets it. He understands it. Jair's been here a couple of years, although he didn't play tonight. Rasul Douglas, Rudy Ford, they've been here. Darnell Savage has been here. It's not like they did get younger, but it's not like it's all rookies. John Runyon did get hurt early on in the game. He twisted an ankle. I did see that. But you act like this is supposed to happen. We shouldn't be surprised. Oh, no, you should be surprised. And my biggest issue is when you get just out physical with all this, quote, talent that's supposed to be accumulated on this team, don't you then have to look within yourself and say, maybe you just don't have the talent? And if that's the case, then it's a bigger problem. That's why people get mad, because you get scared. And you should. Because when you get beat like that and out physical, now maybe next week they come back and, on that Monday night game out in Vegas, maybe they come back and they start to manhandle a rather lackluster Las Vegas Raiders team. Okay? And then everybody starts to feel good again. But when you try to go the measuring stick up against better teams, which is where you aspire to be, you shouldn't get just beat up and manhandled like that. Charlie says, how many number ones are over on defense? You have 8, although Stokes isn't there, which gives you 7. So you've had, and you're missing obviously Jair is down and such, and I understand all of that. But that means by that mentality that when they play in Vegas, if healthy, they should be a lot better, if that's what it is. And then that means maybe your depth just isn't that good. I look. Tell me why, if you just say that we should understand this, why then does Aaron Jones only end up with 5 carries? Why he's like he's your weapon. He got 5 carries for 18 yards, and he got a couple of balls thrown to him? 2 passes for -4 yards. And I said at 1.2. Detroit looked like they knew, like they were in the huddle. All right, we got an hour down. We got an hour yet to go. Coming up in about 45 minutes, we got Mike Clemens who's going to join us from inside the locker room as well. Stay tuned. We are broadcasting live at Burkle's, 1 block south. Stick around. We got a lot more coming up. Don't go anywhere. Oh, we got another hour yet to go. We'll be back right after this.
What advice would you give somebody that that's window shopping?
I'd have to say Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin plays at an MVP level in the replacement game. They came in ahead of time, measured all the windows, make sure they had all of the measurements. When the Pella people left, you had no idea they had been here. You just had the new window. They're great professionals, Gina, and some of the best in the world at what they do.
Right now, pay as low as $19 a month per window or $75 per month on patio doors. Visit PellaWI.com today. Pella's team of expert installers start with an in-home consultation and finish with no hassle or mess, leaving nothing but perfect results that stand the test of time. Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, pay as low as $19 per window and $75 per month on patio doors. Visit PellaWI.com today.
$6.99 APR for 120 months. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offers end 9/30/2023.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
158, go! 319, 399,
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Green Bay Packers beaten on Thursday night, 34-20, and the score not even that close. It makes it look like a 14-point score differential, but nah, that wasn't. It wasn't even that close. The Lions could have quit at half and let the Packers just run up and down the field, and they still wouldn't have caught them. That's how bad it was. It was such an incredibly ugly time. The first half of this ball game was absolutely awful. The Green Bay Packers played about as bad as they could possibly play. It looked like the Detroit Lions had their playbook and knew exactly what it is they were going to run. They out-handled them and out-physicaled them in the trenches. The specialty play on the edges wasn't that good. Jordan Love certainly wasn't good, and it seems like since his first game against the Bears, he has steadily regressed. I did like the moxie in the game on Sunday. I did not. I said it at the time. People said I've always been too hard on him. It's like, look, there's certain throws that you need to make. He had a couple of throws today that he just flat out overthrew guys, and it's overthrowing guys pretty often now. You know, guys in those intermediate passing routes that are open, and he's tossing it too high. I don't know what it is, but the Packers getting somewhat exposed week by week, game by game. And then obviously, you've got a Dan Campbell crew that's a very physical crew, both in the trenches, both sides. They're very good in the trenches on defensive side of the football, but they're very good offensive line. Man, they power block like nobody's business. They like to pull. They like to bring guys around. They did it twice today with the center. They did it 3 or 4 times with the guard. Only 1 or 2 pulling tackles today, but beyond that, it was just it was not good. So bad stuff for the Green Bay Packers today. And when you look at the game numbers after the fact today, Jordan Love just pathetic. 23 of 36, 246 yards, 2 interceptions, sacked 5 times, pressured 9, had 1 touchdown, and a 69.9 quarterback rating. And that is coming off of last weekend's game with the Detroit Lions, where they had 7 sacks. They now have, 12 sacks in 2 games? I mean, that's getting after it. Aaron Jones, 5 carries, 18 yards. A.J. Dillon, 5 carries, 11 yards. And I don't even give him the football anymore. He's not even a threat. It's time to go to Emmanuel Wilson. Jordan Love took off and ran a couple of times, had 1 for 9 yards, another one that he tried to get kind of scrambled around and ended up taking a 10-yard loss. Today, not a good day. Romeo Doubs, 13 targets, 9 catches, 95 yards. Yeah, Christian Watson, a couple of catches, one of them for a touchdown, and a 24-yard reception today as well. But nothing to write home about. In the meantime, you got Amara St. Brown, 5 catches, 56 yards, had the 24-yard touchdown catch and gallop. Jared Goff today, he wasn't awesome. He had the early pick by Rudy Ford, but he had 19 of 28, 210 yards. But again, how about this? 211 yards. So they gave up 211 yards rushing to Bijan Robinson and Ritter and the gang down in Atlanta. And again tonight, that defense gave up 211 yards rushing to Jared Goff and Raymond and Montgomery and Gibbs. They couldn't stop anybody. And by the way, Montgomery today, 32 carries, 121 yards. He grinded it out, man. Grinded it out. And that's exactly what they did to the Packers. They just ground them down big time. If you want to chime in, the phone number is 877-867-1670. Let's get right back to it. Eric listening to us in Wausau. Eric, are you there?
I am here.
Okay, what's going on,
How you doing tonight? Boy, a few thoughts. The O-line looked really awful. No excuses, right? Again, you have some injuries up there, but just had not get it done. Just looked bad. Defensively, the thought of playing the zone, but if you're going to do that and you're going to commit to that D line needs to get home. Couldn't do it. They got exposed.
Yeah.
Last thought, and I think you can appreciate this. I've told friends this. Dan Campbell is a guy that, when he talks to his players, they want to run through a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Matt LaFleur talks to his guys, and they want to run and get, their eyebrows tweezed or get a mani-pedi.
Right.
And that's really all I have to say.
All right,
thanks for the call.
No, I appreciate it. He drops off. You get on board 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Tom says, show me a tough bone in Matt LaFleur's body. He doesn't inspire anything but a milquetoast team. Grant says, no plans for tomorrow. I'm just going to listen to the show and all the people call in and complain about Matt LaFleur and Joe Barry. You're stuck with these guys. They didn't have the cojones to fire Matt LaFleur, didn't have the cojones to fire Joe Barry, and now we're stuck with these guys for one more season until finally everybody can see that they've been exposed and they can blow them out. I'll say this. I don't think Matt LaFleur, unless he loses the team, I don't think Matt LaFleur goes anywhere. Joe Barry would, but I don't think Matt LaFleur does. I think Matt LaFleur gets an extra year to kind of figure this thing out. You have the adversity of Christian Watson, again, not being able to start the season. David Bakhtiari, again, knee problems on and off and on and off. And you kind of hope that David Bakhtiari is able to come back in the 4 weeks after being on the IR. But I think that this is it for David Bakhtiari, and he may never play football again. I mean, I know that the reports are that he doesn't want to retire. He wants to continue to play, but I just, I don't know, man. If the knee's going to be something problematic throughout the remainder of his career, somebody will take a shot on him because of his Hall of Fame capability, but or Hall of Fame play in the past. But his capability right now, I don't think that's going to be something anybody's going to pay big dollars for, to be quite honest with you. 877-867-1670. Let's get to Mike listening to us in West Dallas. Mike, welcome to the program, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How's it going, Bill?
I'm doing okay, man. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so I got a question for you. And A.J. Dillon, 5 carries, 11 yards. What else is new? If A.J. Dillon would have been a 6th-round pick instead of a 2nd-rounder, would he still be on this football team, and would he still have a prominent role in the offense, in your opinion?
No.
Okay. So that is an organizational problem. That is a Packers problem, because we saw what the 49ers did with Trey Lance. They gave up the farm to go get him. They realized he sucked, and they shipped him out for a ham sandwich, and now Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy is their franchise quarterback going forward. If that was the Packers, they would stubbornly stick with Trey Lance for a couple years, punt the seasons, just because that is their guy. And it's the same thing with our defensive coordinator. We spend all these first-round picks on defense, and we still can't stop the run. And this is going on like 4 or 5 years now that we still can't stop the run. Is that the talent on the field, or is that the coaching? I think that's the coaching, and I think that's on the Packers, because it's just an organizational problem. There's a lack of accountability within the organization. Matt LaFleur can never win big games, and maybe that's because we don't have an owner. I don't know, but I just feel like there's a lack of accountability within this organization.
No, I appreciate it, Mike. They did get rid of when Amari Rodgers wasn't cutting the mustard. They did get rid of him. So I can say that if it was a 3rd-round draft choice, they don't necessarily do that. So A.J. Dillon did have value his first year. He looked like he might develop into a viable 2 in a 1-2 punch. And they were talking about the thunder and lightning at the time and all that kind of stuff, right? They were getting into all of that. So he did have a value. And then last year, it didn't pan out. It didn't kind of look like it was supposed to. And you thought, you know what? Down year, he's got to get back to what he does. Well, then this year, he's certainly proven that he's just not that guy. And that very quickly he lost that step. And that's my issue, is that he's lost that step. He doesn't hit the hole running hard. He just doesn't. And that's part of his problem. So, or his problem. I mean, however you want to put it. But I just don't think he's a viable option anymore at the running back position, and I think that they will or should begin to diminish his role, and give somebody else a shot. I mean, anybody that you have right now, Wilson is probably going to be the guy that may get a few more looks. Who knows? But he's out there right now because he knows the system. He knows the offense. He's been a decent backup. He probably blocks pretty well in the sense of being able to blindside-wise protect the quarterback and such. But for the most part, he doesn't really offer anything else as a weapon to this team anymore. I completely agree with you. 877-867-1670. Tori says, don't put this on David. I mean, Bill, you retired and still have the talent to do what you do as a broadcaster. No, I'm not putting it. What the hell are you talking about? I'm not putting it on David. What I said about David Bakhtiari is this. I said, well, first of all, I hope he comes back in 4 weeks. I would love it if he does. But it was something that this knee was there's some guys, and I've said this before, some people, their bodies, for whatever reason, when there's an injury and there's any kind of an invasive procedure done, their body doesn't heal right. And I don't know if that was the case in David's case or if there's something else that went on behind the scenes that maybe we didn't know about. But this thing has not healed since day one. It just hasn't. And that, I mean, he kept trying. We were talking in the press box, and for the guys that really know him, and David is two things. David, one is a warrior, and two is a source, okay? If you need to know something, on or off the record, David's the guy kind of to go to. He's going to kind of tell it like it is, and you appreciate that. So you don't wish any bad ill will on David Bakhtiari in a lot of different reasons, in a lot of different ways, because as a fan, you want to see him play. But the knee just isn't holding up. And we talked about that going into the season, like there was a lot of red flags, and they were dancing around all of it. They didn't want to talk about it. Oh, he's just, and then when Matt LaFleur said, well, he's injured. Well, wait a minute. He was injured. He's not injured now, unless there's something we didn't know about. And that's why all the red flags started going up. And it didn't make sense. And so finally, to the point where what we've all been saying begins to matriculate, and you realize that he can't play. He can't do what he needs to do. The knee hurts. He can't bend it, from what I understand. It's swelling up. There's just too many problems there. We're going to do this. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to get some more phone calls in. We've got a lot of stuff over on the live stream as well. Hang in there. We got plenty of you still reacting to this dumpster fire of a game that the Packers put before Packers fans tonight on a Thursday night crowd, with all the bravado and the lights going out and the smoke and the tunnel lit up and full moon tonight, and it all just turned to crap the minute the kick was in the air. So other than Rudy Ford starting off the game with the interception, after that everything was pretty much downhill from there. Let's do this. We'll step away. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We got more of the Green and Gold postgame show live at Burkles. We're at Burkles, 1 block south, or 1 block over, I should say, but it's Burkles, Burkels. Burkles. Come on by and say hi. We got more coming up right after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes.
I'm glad you stopped by. I appreciate it. Now, where are you guys here? Oh, okay. Yeah, well, there's my neck of the woods. Yeah. Oh, okay. So where?
Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute.
Like if you go to downtown Waukesha, my son went to Waukesha. Yeah. So if you're on Blue Mountain Road, you're like,
Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Like when I'm on the air during the day and they blow up shit in the quarry, it rattles my house. Yeah. It'll be like, God, you know, because the planes come right over my house. Here we go. Welcome back to the program. The Packers get knocked off in ugly fashion. First half of this game was atrocious. I mean, it was awful. It was absolutely awful. Ryan says this was an embarrassment. Saj said, and hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Saj says Matt LaFleur needs to go. Dalton says a coach that continually cries, has emotional issues, has no business leading men. Heidi says, I can't believe they got beat this bad by the Lions. Aren't the Lions supposed to be okay but not great? They're a good football team. Heidi, I'm not going to take anything away from the Lions. They did what they needed to do. The Packers just weren't able to match the intensity, weren't able to match the game plan. They weren't able to match the physicality up front. And the best way I can describe it was they were just bad. I don't even know how to put it. They were just bad. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. We'll get back to the phone calls coming up here. I've taken some phone calls. I want to get to more of you on the live stream and some of you, but keep calling. Keep calling. Coming up in about 25 minutes, we got Mike Clemens going to join us. Mike's going to be here, and he's over in the locker room right now. I saw that Jordan Love spoke. I saw that Matt LaFleur spoke. We'll try to hear from them coming up here in just a few, but I want to make sure we get all of that stuff. Thomas says Van Ness needs some more snaps. This is from Jordan. Jordan says, I think that Quay Walker is going to be okay. He just needs to kind of learn some control. Ed says, I think that Matt LaFleur is in way over his head. He looks confused. He looks perplexed. Every time they show him on the sideline, he's always looking up at the scoreboard and then looking out on the field as if something's going to change. I think he's completely lost without the knowledge that Aaron Rodgers brought to the table. This is from Jimmy. Jimmy says, if you look at this team, they look like they are lost without a true leader. They're relying on one another at this point, which is a good thing for players inside the locker room, but bad for the coaching staff, who is supposed to be the leader of men. John says this was an embarrassment. I can't believe I spent money for this game, and obviously a gold package game. And then Travis says this was awful. The Lions fans around me were at least cordial and nice. Some of the better fans that have come into Lambeau Field in a long time. Listening to the show on my phone as I drive home. And then Steven says, watching you on YouTube. Oh, they're in Oshkosh, Steven. Steven, you guys stay safe. They're in Oshkosh. And he said we had to pull over and get a couple of beverages before we made the trek out to Madison. Steven, good for you guys. Stay safe, though. Stay safe. Pat over on the live stream says, not to mention how bad the tackling was on top of it, much too high tackling. I'll tell you what, though, the one thing I did like is the Packers at times had some big hits. They tried to blow some people up, and they didn't. They did, but they weren't able to do it continuously. I'll tell you this. When you start to – there's a lot of good and a lot of bad. And the problem with football is we notice the bad, and the bad basically looks like a team marching down the field and beating you up. When there are guys that are making plays, they're holding their own, they're holding their zones. The one thing the Packers did not do very well today, again, was hold the edge. The edge got busted up. They ended up, a couple of times they stunted inside, and the play went outside around them. They weren't holding that edge too well. But it was just it was an all-around bad performance. This is one of those games where, as the head coach, there is no – and I can't wait to hear from Matt LaFleur, but there is no, hey, our guys showed resiliency, and they came back, and they played hard in the second half, and it was had we not dug ourselves a hole. No, stop it, because you did dig yourself a hole. You've now played to start the last two games. The first half of each game sucked. It was awful. You didn't learn anything from those lessons. That's poor coaching. That's it. Stop acting like this is some kind of moral victory in some way, shape, or form. And the defense, by the way, at times will get physical, but they are not a physical defense. They get their shot in every now and then, but they're not a consistently physical defense. When you are on your heels or getting pushed back or you're going to the mud, that's not a physical defense. Charlie says they just flat out couldn't stop the run, even though they knew it was coming. And the one thing I will say, Charlie, and I agree with you 100%. So that we are when you talk about this in that sense, you got to first of all give credit to the Lions, but secondly, what you have to do is you have to be able to consistently get pressure upfield. And when you know it's coming and you can't stop guys, you got to give credit to that offensive line to begin with, but you also have to say, am I doing my job? Am I sucking up a double team? Am I beating my guy one-on-one? And then are the guys around me doing their job? Because you're only as good defensively as your weakest link, and that's it. Merlin says, time to clean house from the president, GM, and the coach. The president and the GM didn't have anything to do with this unless, of course, they just, the GM didn't draft the talent that everybody seems to think that's on the field. That's part of the problem, right? Michael says, what has been A.J. Dillon's longest run this year? That's a great question. I don't know. Tony says that Matt LaFleur said he was proud of how they kept fighting, but he made no excuses. He said they flat out got their asses kicked and shouldered the blame. Well, kudos to Matt LaFleur, at least for recognizing that. Because I didn't want to hear, I haven't heard his post game yet. We haven't played it back yet. But kudos to Matt LaFleur for saying that, because he's 100% true. The Bad Guy TV wants to know, can we improve for the rematch on Thanksgiving? Yeah, you can. Is all lost? No. There's still some wins to be had. I think there's let me go through this real quick. When we talk about this, I think there is talent on this team. Let's go through this real quick. I think when Elton Jenkins comes back, I think he's a tremendous guard. Okay, I think Josh Myers is solid, not great. John Runyon, who had the ankle injury today, I think he's really kind of morphed into a solid offensive lineman, even going back to his rookie year when he was thrust into the spotlight. Zach Tom has been solid. I don't think he's necessarily a tackle. I think he's more of a guard, but that's where they've got him for the time being. And I will say this, Josh Nyman has been a disappointment because the coaches have been somewhat outspoken in trying to light a fire under him to get him to play better. I was talking with Wayne Larrabee on the way in today, and Caleb Jones, we were both saying if Caleb Jones gets it, they really think they've got something in him and that he's just a really raw talent. But if Caleb Jones ever gets it, that guy's a mountain of a human being. That's a big dude, man, big, strong guy. And then you've got, obviously, Rasheed Walker and Royce Newman. I think that Aaron Jones is a solid player. I think that Christian Watson, if he could stay healthy, can be a solid player. Romeo Doubs has really come on. He's really impressed me with his pass catching ability, but more so with his route running ability and being able to get open and being able to move his hips to kind of adjust the defender. I think he's become really solid. Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks, both of those guys, I think there's something there. So the talent that's been drafted in those areas, I think there's something there. Okay? Samari Toure to a certain extent. Now, defensively speaking, Kenny Clark, we all know, is solid. Devontae Wyatt, I think, is solid. I think Rashawn Gary, extremely solid. I think Quay Walker. You look at Quay Walker, I mean, you may look at him and say, well, he gets highlighted every now and then, and he does. But, damn, that guy is all over the field. I love that he's all over the field. He's bringing guys down. And you know what? He loses his head every now and then in inopportune moments, but damn, he's got some heart, man. I love it. Rasul Douglas, you're getting the most out of that talent. Same with Rudy Ford. Jair, you can't wait to get him back on the playing field because he is a talent. Keyshawn Nixon, you just got to figure out a way to get him involved right now. He's just, kind of floating. But Corey Ballantyne, Carrington Valentine, I'm not overwhelmingly thrilled with what they have back there. Certainly Anders Carlson for what he's done this season, for all the and I got to admit, I was one of the guys worried about it. He's been solid. Can't argue with that, right? So, I mean, all in all, they've got some talented guys, but it's the guys that we talk about that aren't. You're only as good as your weakest link. You're only as good as your weakest link, right? And I just think that the Packers got more than a few weak links on this team, to be honest with you. And, you look at it this way. The Lions defense last week, right? For Bijan Robinson running all over this Packers defense, he had 10 carries for what? I think like 30, 33 yards or something like that. He averaged just under 3.5 yards a carry last week. And yet against the Packers, he looked like the reincarnation of Barry Sanders. So for as much as I can sit here and go through this and I can say, this guy's got talent, this guy's got talent, this guy's got talent, he can do this, he can do that. The bottom line is the Packers as a collective group, they're not even on the same playing field. Pardon the pun. You in back-to-back weeks, you look at what was done. Bijan Robinson, Ritter, the gang, they 211 rushing yards. 211 rushing yards. They put up on the Green Bay Packers, right? Last week, that same group, Robinson, Allgeier, Ritter, Pitts, they put up 44. 44! Think of that. I mean, that's real, man. They were able to shut them down. They took what the Green Bay Packers didn't do, and they said, we're going to do that better. They set the edge. They kept them in the middle. They let their guys up front go ahead and make tackles. They brought the linebackers up, and they stacked the line. Packers didn't do that. When they go to nickel, Joe Barry believes in only having 2 down offensive linemen. Today, they ended up putting 4 in down near the goal line. 4! And they still ran right around them. Crashed on the inside. Ran right around them. They all got eaten up. So, for as much as we think, and I just go through and I tell you who I think has talent, maybe there's not as much as we think here. Right? 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Let's do this. We're going to get back to the phones coming up here in just a minute. I do got to take a quick break. We are broadcasting live. We're at Burkle's. Great place. You can see, if you're watching on the live stream, man, this place is hopping. They've got the music thumping in here. The drinks are flowing. People are doing some shots. Packers fans are still faithful in here chanting, "Go Pack, go" a little bit. If you want to give us a call, do it. If you want to give us an email, do it. If you want to give us a shout on the live stream, go ahead and do it. But this is the place to be after every Packers home game. Burkle's 1 block south. Come on over and say hello to us. It's kind of behind Stadium View back here, right next to the great big RV parking lot. Come on in and say hello. We'd love to see you after the game. Packers get knocked off in ugly-ass fashion. They get beat. They got drilled, as a matter of fact. They got beat bad. The Green Bay Packers gave one up today, and they ended up getting knocked off. So that being said, we'll come back and we'll continue to talk about it. Mike Clemens coming up here in about 10, 15 minutes as well. Stay tuned. More of the Green and Gold postgame show coming up after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Before we do anything else, we gotta listen because I saw some of the stuff that was tweeted out from Matt Schneidman and a couple of the other guys inside of the media auditorium. Matt LaFleur spoke to the media, and I don't know the whole story. I want you to take a listen to it. Hopefully, it all happens. And you hear it, but I want you to take a listen to it. This is Matt LaFleur talking to the media after the game.
The credit, they came in and they whooped us pretty good. I was pleased with our team's effort in the second half. I told them, I had challenged them at halftime that to just continue to go out there and compete. Thought we did that. We had an opportunity. It was down 10, and we had a bad penalty to make it a 3-possession game. But every area there's a lot of improvement out there for us. I think anytime that you go out there and you can't effectively run the football and conversely can't stop the run, that's a recipe for losing football. And that's what happened tonight. And give Detroit credit. We knew they were a tough opponent, but they manhandled us really in every phase. I think there's a lot to that. I think, we were 3 and out, 5 possessions in a row or whatever it was. It was very humbling, and sometimes that happens, but we can't continue to go backwards. We keep going backwards. We're in 3rd and long situations. We knew they were going to be a challenge to run the football against. They've done a nice job with that. We had some run pass options, some can plays, and give credit to them. They did a good job because when we threw it, we weren't very effective throwing the football either. So, or at least early on, I think as the game went on, we were able to get some stuff going, but obviously it was way too little, too late.
What do you think happens when you have to cause a first half like that, where you got nothing?
We suck, Pete. We got our ass kicked. If I knew, it wouldn't have happened.
Matt, they didn't blitz until
That's a BS question, man.
They didn't blitz until the last play of the first half. They sent 4 or less most of the time. Why couldn't you guys protect, do you think?
It wasn't good enough. They whipped us. They manhandled us. Again, if I knew the answer to that, it wouldn't have happened.
Matt Jordan played better in the second half, obviously at the pick at the end, but otherwise played much better statistically speaking. Early, he was under duress. He was sacked 4 times. What did you think of his performance overall, despite some of the struggles up front?
Yeah, it's hard throwing your back. We got to protect them better. We got to look at some of the things we're asking our guys to do. In the second half, we had one of the protections that's 100% on me, called the play pass. They brought a blitz. It was when he spit the ball out to Rome. We lose 11 yards on that play. That's on the play caller. That's a bad play call for the situation. So, I mean, there's plenty of blame to go around. I'm always going to look at myself first and foremost and see what kind of position we're putting the offense in, and it wasn't good enough.
Something of a concern is the line with, obviously Dave's out, Zach's banged up, Elton's out. I mean, you're kind of running out of bodies there.
That's what it is. I don't think anybody's feeling sorry for us. So we got to get better. We got to look at what we're asking our guys to do. Just everything wasn't good enough. So the plan wasn't good enough. I mean, that was humiliating, being down 27-3 or whatever it was at half.
The 2-minute worked really well for you in the fourth quarter last game. Did you kick around going into that just to jumpstart you? I mean, just start the second half? Or
yeah, we talked about it. At some point, we've got to try to get a normal offense going. I think that's something that we'll take a good hard look at, over the course of these next 10 days, over the weekend, just trying to find different ways to, when it's not going right, how do you flip the momentum? How do you get it going in your favor? But, just credit to them. They got a good defense. They fly around. They're very physical, and they play really hard. So they did a nice job. They outcompeted us and out-executed us tonight.
Matt, I'm sorry for not knowing the field goal block rules. I know you can't use leverage and push off another guy. did look like Quay just jumped over everybody. That's illegal too?
You got to be within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage, so you cannot get a running start and do that.
You said that was a bad penalty. How critical? It's probably obvious, but how critical is that? Because they settled for the field goal.
Yeah, it was bad. It was a bad deal. So, I'm not going to sit here and blame Quay. Obviously, we got to do a better job of educating our players, about what the rules are. So, again, that's on me.
You've given up 200 rushing yards in 2 of the 4 games now. It's it was an issue last year too. How do you get that solidified?
Yeah, we're going to have to do something different because it's insane to do the same things over and over again and expect a different result. So that is a good offensive line. They got really good runners. I think Gibbs and Montgomery are 2 of the better backs. It's one of the best offensive lines in ball, but it's still inexcusable. You should be able to take one phase away from, if you want to stop the run and commit to that, then make them throw it over your head.
There you go, Matt LaFleur talking to the media, getting testy with the media. And here's the other thing about it is the media, that was Pete Doherty of the Green Bay Press-Gazette, a very credible reporter, asked a very legitimate question. And then he says it's a BS answer. What I'd like to say in that particular case is, hey, first of all, it's a legitimate question. Why can't you answer the question rather than getting upset with the media? And this testiness, does that happen in the locker room or just crying at halftime? Because if you want to take it out on the media, it's very easy to try to bully them as opposed to answering the questions properly. So I got a real problem with that. That to me, Coach, was a BS answer. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Packers get knocked off. We got another segment yet to go. Mike Clemens going to join us from over at Lambeau Field coming up right after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in
Well, there you have it.
minutes.
Guy just came up and asked me, thought I was a DJ and wanted me to play the Detroit Lions fight song. Oh, well. There you have it. Right? I mean, Pete Doherty asked a legitimate question. Coach, this is 2 games in a row. You come out flat. I mean, can you speak on that? Well, if I knew, I'd fix it. Well, then why the hell are you the head
Bill
coach?
Michaels will resume in 2 minutes.
That's a BS question. Well, that's a BS answer. Michael, right? The Lions actually have a fight song. I don't think they have a fight song. I think it's just the commentary from the lion, the cowardly lion in Wizard of Oz. Put him up, put him up, put him up. Put him up. That's it. All right, we'll interact here for everybody over in the live stream. Love's going to be hurting tomorrow morning. Yeah, he did take a beating.
Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Packers take it on the chin. They get knocked off in ugly fashion at Lambeau Field. It was not a game that anybody anticipated. There was a lot of excitement for this one, and it just never happened. They got smashed in the mouth right away. Tough night at the ball yard. Good night here. We were at Burkle's, one block over. And that's where you can find us for every Green and Gold postgame show, for every home game, for every Green and Gold postgame show. So come on by. Good crowd here tonight. For those of you watching on the live stream, you've kind of been paying attention to it. And we've got, a good crowd on the live stream still tonight. So we appreciate you being here big time. Let's do this. Let's get our guy Mike Clemens over at Lambeau Field on the line. And Mike, there was a lot of ugliness in this one. I don't even know where to start, man.
No, we talked about it at halftime, too, the report about Matt LaFleur getting emotional during a halftime interview on the network, then going into the locker room, and he says that he challenged the team. He says, you guys are going to have to face each other for the rest of the week after this. Here's the head coach after the game.
Our team's effort in the second half, I told them, I challenged them at halftime that, to just continue to go out there and compete. Thought we did that. We had an opportunity. It was down 10, and we had a bad penalty to make it a 3-possession game. But, every area, there's a lot of improvement out there for us.
Mike, Jordan Love, man, that guy took a beating tonight. Sometimes he was still looking downfield. Other times he just didn't have time to even breathe. He missed a couple of throws. I mean, it was just this was a bad performance by Jordan Love tonight.
And it was hard to get the ball going on the ground. Now, we know the reason is because they've got a good defensive line and one of the best defensive players in the league in Hutchinson. The total yardage on the ground for the Green Bay Packers with 5 carries from Aaron Jones and Dillon had some, and Jordan Love had a couple, 27 yards rushing. 27 yards rushing. What is wrong with the running game against the Lions? Here's Jordan Love.
Yeah, I think something we just got to work on throughout the week of practice. I think just offensively as a whole, we just got to start faster. We don't start fast, and we kind of get behind. It's hard to run the ball. You get put in situations where you got to throw the ball. So I think we just got to start faster.
Why do you think you guys fell behind early? What do you think was going wrong?
Yeah, we weren't executing. Start the game. Getting the ball. And scoring position right there, and just I think went 3 and out right away. So just not executing, not converting on third downs, and just not putting ourselves in great positions to get positive plays going forward. So.
On the first interception that you threw in the second quarter, what did you see? What was your thought process as you're going through that play?
Yeah, it was a play action strike concept, and I thought there was a window there to hit Christian. I thought we had the backers moving opposite, and the backer made a good play and stepped back in the hole. Was able to get a hand on it and just tipped it up. So tips are never good. So.
Mike, it was a night in which the former Bear, David Montgomery, really got it churning this evening, and he ground out some yards big time, but he was denting the end zone more than a few times. And, again, 211 yards rushing this week, and then go back to the Atlanta game. So they've given up 422 yards of rushing in 2 games out of 4 this season. Man, that's just heading in a wrong direction.
David Montgomery, the former Bear, he had 121 yards himself, 3 touchdowns in this game. And this is the first time he's ever beat the Packers as an NFL player. And he talked about that situation where the Lions thought that they had been stopped, and then they tried a field goal attempt, and then they called Quay Walker with a unsportsmanlike, so they went back and lined up in the field, and he talked about the opportunity to go and get his 3rd touchdown of the night, that they trusted him with that one at the 1-yard line to make it 34-17 and pretty much put the game out of reach with 9 minutes left.
Yeah, for me, it was like, so I told myself, it's either you score or you never get it again. But it's definitely big to understand and know that, Coach Campbell and, Ben trust me in that, high pressure moment. And to be able to come out on top and, trust the process and the process work out for you is definitely super, super dope to see it work out and, many more to come.
Super, super dope. You wish the Packers would have had a run game like that tonight. And, boy, I tell you what, Aiden Hutchinson, for everything that he was billed to be coming into this contest, the fact that they had 6 sacks last week, they had or 7 sacks last week, they had 5 more again tonight. They were everything they were billed to be, Mike.
Face of the franchise for the Lions on that side of the ball, first-round pick. And I'll tell you, I really don't have any other Packer interviews. Those guys were late arriving in the locker room. Some of them left. I mean, they're embarrassed. That was the only game. That was the only football game in the country on tonight, and they just got embarrassed nationally. So I had this conversation with their great defensive linemen. Sometimes, as we learned on this show, you can learn more about your team if you talk to the other guys. And I had this conversation with Hutchinson on how they stopped the Packers' run game.
Despite their speedy young receivers and Jordan and his arm, you guys, it was the same game plan. If you can get back there faster and disrupt the backfield, you guys dominate.
100%, and I think that stands true for just about everything. If you're a defense that can attack the quarterback and not give them a ton of time, you're gonna be successful.
Did you see all the blue jerseys out there tonight?
Oh, it's crazy. Dude, Lions fans travel insane.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, well, I think it was more than last year. Was it more than last year at the last game? That was crazy.
And we talked about it, Mike. You talked about it. I tweeted it out. Part of it's probably because it's a gold package game. People don't come up from Milwaukee on a Thursday night for a late night, take off work early, get home, don't want to get up for work the next day. They keep doing this. The Packers keep doing this gold package thing on Monday nights and Thursday nights, and it just and all of a sudden we're screaming because we can't believe they sold tickets off to the opponent. So absolutely correct. There was a ton of Lions fans, and the Lions are starting to win, and they're selling out at home. So now they got to travel to Lambeau Field because Packers fans are selling their tickets. So I get it a little bit, but the fans were out in force tonight, and Amra St. Brown's another guy that was able to kind of chew up some yardage and dent the end zone tonight, Mike.
Yeah, the Packers drafted the wrong St. Brown brother. They drafted Equanius. Amon-Ra, smaller guy. I mean, he just keeps on beating the Packers. And tonight, he put a move on early on Rasul Douglas that left Rasul on the ground. And we talked about that first touchdown that got the Lions rolling.
We can go anywhere and win. Doesn't matter where we're at. Like you said, Kansas City, tough place to play. Lambeau, tough place to play. So, I mean, we've won these 4 weeks. We've won at one of the 2 toughest places to play in the league. So for us, that tells us no matter where we're at, we have the capability to win.
On that touchdown, you're wide open. The ball's in the air. But did you see, I think Rasul slipped.
Yeah, it was a play call that, Ben wanted to really call that last year. He never got off the play call sheet. So he came in this meeting this week, and was like, I'm going to call it this week. So it was, kind of, we call, we get out the huddle quick. And last one we did that, we ran a lot of quick games, stick routes and whatnot. So basically like a stick pump, just me turning around 5 yards. Jerry gave a little quick pump, and I was talking to Russell Douglas after the game. He said he went to the sideline, and they weren't even mad. They're like, man, I would have jumped it too. So it was a great play call, great throw, and we executed it.
Now the Lions head coach, Mike, we've been comparing kind of the machismo of Dan Campbell versus, obviously Matt LaFleur, and Matt LaFleur getting testy with the media, going after Pete Doherty in the Green Bay Press-Gazette after Pete asked a legitimate question, but Dan Campbell, man, he's got him trending in the right direction. That's for sure.
Yeah, except he came to the podium tonight, and you remember that old Saturday Night Live bit where Chris Farley's played, I'm a man living down in a van down by the river.
Right.
He came rolling up to the podium and knocked all the microphones off, talking about David Montgomery, the running back. Here you go.
Just throwing him right over the side, huh? All right, that was outstanding. That was a fun one for the guys, and it was a total team effort. And it's easy to go through here, and it's actually not easy to go through here and start picking out individual players. There's a ton of guys that played really well, but I didn't realize this, but that was David Montgomery's first time to get a win against the Packers, so that's pretty impressive. And 3 touchdowns, first time that we've had a Lions running back that's gotten that at Lambeau, so that's pretty impressive.
Mike, a couple of things I want to touch base on. I know I heard that Aaron Jones had said when asked why he didn't get the ball until the second quarter, he said he didn't know. Maybe it was because he was on a pitch count. So that he looked very uncomfortable answering that question tonight as to why he didn't get the ball at all until the second quarter. And then I don't know if you were in there with Matt LaFleur, but man, he certainly got a little bit testy at some of the questions that were asked that were legitimate questions.
Well, it starts with your defense. It starts with some of these answers you just heard from the Lions. There's plays we brought up, and we thought this is going to work against Green Bay. There's things that we see, and I'll tell you what. Here's one thing that St. Brown touchdown early in the game we just talked about. You know, what was part of that play? They broke a quick huddle and got to the line. Does that sound familiar from that 4th and 1 down in Atlanta against the Falcons when they ran up there and they got Robinson in there? People are looking at what the Packers are doing on tape, and they're putting it in front of them, and the Packers are not reacting well.
Yeah, no doubt. Mike, great stuff, and we're going to break it all down again tomorrow for sure. But good stuff, and we'll talk to you tomorrow, okay?
Thank you, Bill.
Appreciate it, pal. There you go. That's our own Mike Lemons, and that is going to do it for us. It was an ugly night. It was an ugly night. It was a bad night. We're going to have so much reaction to this tomorrow, it isn't even funny. Got a lot going on tomorrow. I'm going to talk with Tyler Dunn at GoLongTD.com. Rob Reichel is going to join us tomorrow. Mike Lemons is going to be here tomorrow. You're going to hear more from inside the locker room tomorrow on the program, so come back then. Thanks to everybody here at Burkles. Burkles, 1 block south. Thanks to everybody for coming in and saying hi. One more time before a crowd of 78,052. It was the Detroit Lions putting it on the Packers 34, and the Packers only mustering 20. Time for us to go. Have a good one. Hoop!